you've reached peak couple energy when your undies match. MeUndies Match Me has you both covered, literally, in super soft ultra-modal undies, socks, PJs, and loungewear. Festive prints? Check. Cozy vibes? Double check. And right now, it's deal season. Get up to 50% off site-wide for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Take your couple game to the next level with MeUndies Match Me. To get deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/comfort, promo code COMFORT. That's MeUndies.com/comfort, code COMFORT.
Large amounts of people, micro-influencers, to publish things, republish things on schedules. We created a lot of content and pushed it out through various channels, and then we were able to get a lot of ads running back then, through Google and stuff like that. So it was interesting. It made it easier whenever you're dealing with celebrities, especially back then. They weren't online as much. So being able to be in direct contact with a celebrity and have their content and their endorsement.
Sit back and relax and get ready for another exclusive episode of the Online Marketing Secrets Podcast with Lopez.
This episode is brought to you by the best AI software online called Goody. That's Goody. Goody will help you create all content for your blogs, websites, newsletters, articles, ads, and even pictures, LinkedIn posts, Twitter, you name it. All you got to do is go to lopezthesane.com/Goody. That's Goody. And the best part about Goody is absolutely free. That's right. It's free for the first 7 days. You can cancel at any time. Goody will help you create all your contents for your blogs and websites online. And it's 100% absolutely free, full access for the first 7 days. All you got to do, just go to my website. That's lopezthesane.com/Goody. That's Goody. Or just click the link in the show notes and get started today. Welcome to another episode of the Online Marketing Secrets Podcast. I'm your host, Lopez. So like and share this episode. Any topics, anybody you would like me to bring on, feel free to send me an email at support@kingofcashflowwebsites.com, or just hit me in the DMs on Instagram. That's probably the easiest ways to connect with me. So with that being said, I have another special guest for you today. My guest today is a digital marketing expert, entrepreneur, author, speaker. He's on a mission to empower 1,000 entrepreneurs to make 100,000 a year by 2026. And he's also a part of hip hop culture. My special guest today is Arias WebsterBerry. Welcome to the show. So, where you from?
Originally from Dallas, Texas. Grew up in San Diego, California.
Oh, nice. So how'd you get in this world of digital marketing? Because, we don't, last I checked, you can't go to school for it. They might teach a class here and there, but there's no major last I checked. So how'd you get started?
I actually started in the entertainment industry in San Diego. I started throwing parties when I was in high school. Moved into it in college. Did some marketing for a couple of record labels. And then I got into small concerts, bigger concerts. Then I got into festivals. My largest festival being the Hip Hop 101 Music and Arts Festival. I was an executive producer of that. We had Ludacris, Janelle Monáe, Common, Mixmaster Mike of the Beastie Boys. And that was kind of my first really large campaign that I ran. It was a couple $100,000 budget. This was, a decade ago. But, social media was very much a big part of that project. And I ended up moving back to Texas and started working for the largest digital marketing firm in the world at the time, which was Reach Local.
Oh, nice. So how was it working around or in the entertainment world? Because, especially back then, being social media back then was kind of like foreign to a lot of people. So how was it working around in the entertainment world?
It was fun, stressful. It was a new frontier for sure. We very much did a lot of things that are now commonplace now, but they were, groundbreaking at the time with, figuring out how to get large amounts of people, micro influencers, to publish things, republish things on schedules. We created a lot of content and pushed it out through various channels, and then we were able to get a lot of ads running back then, through Google and stuff like that. So it was interesting. It made it easier whenever you're dealing with celebrities, especially back then. They weren't online as much. So being able to be in direct contact with a celebrity and have their content and their endorsement and permission to promote and use their image made it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So how did you link up with the entertainers? Was it through a record label or directly to the artist itself?
You mean like in booking them?
Yeah.
It depends. Sometimes, for the most part, the best deals that you can count on are ones where you go directly through their agent. It's more expensive that way, but they're more likely to show up and behave when you go through their agent or an agency. But as you establish relationships, you actually have direct numbers to some artists, numbers to their agents, or to their manager, or to a publicist, or to them specifically. So it makes it easier to do booking.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I lived in Atlanta for about 11 years, mm-hmm. and I built a few websites for a couple of people, which I never knew who the website was actually for most of the time. Mm-hmm. So I never actually worked directly with the artist. I just worked through a producer or a label, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And but the funny thing is, I knew a lot of people that were in their crew. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them used to tell me, man, a lot of them were hard to deal with.
Extremely. Typically, they're very, they are demanding, they're short-tempered, they're petulant, they are, it's a lot. But, I also understand, right? A lot of these artists, especially the larger ones, they're on tour, most of the time. So that means that they're traveling all over the world in places that they don't have friends or family really. And, they don't have a place to stay, right? They're living out of a suitcase. So when they ask for something specific, they want that thing because they don't know where to get it, right? They don't, especially back in the day, Google wasn't as robust. You didn't have DoorDash where people could just drop things off within, 5 minutes to an hour. If I ask for a specific type of water, it's because I like that water. Or if I ask for, this type of food, it's because that's my dietary restrictions and I don't know where to get those things. So I'm asking you to get them so that I can focus on this show or what I'm here for, rather than, trying to figure out the best places to get these items that I need in order to function. So, there's some of it's a little bit of diva You know, it can be. A lot of times it's just, hey, we asked for the things we asked for. You agree to them. Please make sure that we get what we need. And then, you know, they're irritable, right? Sometimes they're crisscrossing the globe. You know, I don't know if you've ever traveled internationally, but you know, jet lag is a real thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, you getting off of a 14-hour, 18-hour flight, and now you have to perform, and you got to deal with, you know, people not being on time or not doing what they say they're going to do, or, you know, asking you to do a lot of things that weren't in the agreement. You know, you'd be a little irritated as well. You know, you're going off a little sleep. Maybe you haven't eaten in a period of time, right? Just going from place to place.
Yeah.
So, you know, to some of it, I understand and I excuse, and some people are just assholes. You know?
Yeah. I mean, some of it I can understand, especially when you're traveling abroad and maybe what y'all agree on, they bait and switch. You know, and just traveling itself, man, it can be to me, it's not fun to getting on planes and trains, and that's not fun. The destination might be fun, you know, but you know, I've traveled pretty much worldwide. That's not fun to me, man. The destination is fun when you get there. You be like, oh, it's cool, it was worth it or whatever. But just the travel time to me, you know, but you know, to each his own, you know.
Yeah, you know, whenever we travel, we try to fit in like a little extended layover so that we can kind of break up the flight time and also try to maximize being in different parts of the world. So yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So how did you know that you could even do digital marketing? How did you know you could help other people with their social media? What gave you the confidence to say, hey, you know what, man? You know, I can actually do this, and this can be like a business. What gave you the confidence to do that?
You know, I've been doing marketing for a long time. You know, it's I think I'm at 15 years now, 14, 15 years in marketing. And it's something that I had been doing since I was, you know, in high school and in middle school. I'm sorry, high school and college. So it's always been something that was a part. And then, you know, once I actually got to a company where I got formal, you know, digital marketing training, you know, people kind of just came to me. I started freelancing kind of on the side while I had my day gig, and that just picked up, and I slowly took on more and more people, and eventually decided to strike out on my own and start a company.
Yeah, that's how. I think that's how most people started off back in the day. It was like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah. I mean, and now it's a very common, you know, thing. The very large companies that do it, multi-billion-dollar companies that do digital marketing. But surprisingly, still, a lot of companies do not do it well. A lot of Black entrepreneurs and businesses are very much behind in the space, whether it's in, you know, thought leadership, in the frequency and quantity of publishing, and then, you know, just some of the more common tools and techniques, you know, like using email automation or using a CRM. There's a lot of businesses that have never heard these terms, do not believe that it's something that they could implement in their business, and honestly are kind of scared of diving into this world, which I think is crazy given where it's 2024, almost 2025, and this stuff has been around for, you know, near a decade now. But, you know, in my experience, Black businesses are typically 5 to 7 years behind the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know, I think a lot of people that I talk to, you know, first thing they start saying is, man, I don't want to be on camera. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, you don't necessarily have to be on camera. I'm just on camera, you know, because I just like it. But I said, look, before I came on camera, I was behind the scenes for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. So was that.
You don't necessarily have to be on camera. But that's the first thing they throw out there. And it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I tell all my clients, all of my students in my accelerator program, I tell them, you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money. right?
Yeah.
And if you, I don't want to be on camera and all these other things, that's great. Well, dig in your pocket, get some money to find somebody who can represent your brand the way you want them to. So if you don't have the money, well, then you're going to have to spend the time. Otherwise, you're going to slip into oblivion. We're moving into a space to where if you don't have a presence online, if you're not recording and publishing content regularly, well, then you don't exist. And there are a lot of other companies that don't do as good of a job as you. They're not as knowledgeable. They don't produce a better product or service, but they do a better job marketing and promoting and courting attention and the spotlight. And they have a subpar product, they have a subpar process, they have a subpar service, but they're beating you every single day, running circles around you simply because you're afraid to use that camera that's on your phone, that expensive phone that you bought, and you won't use it.
Yeah, like I said, I was telling one of my friends the other day, I said, look, if you can get good at doing this, using social media, the draw a crowd, it's always going to be people that's going to need your help.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I guess what made you want to write a book?
It's something that I've always thought about. But realistically, I don't think I ever thought that I would do it anytime soon. And it would probably just be a project that would take me quite a long time. I was fortunate enough to have one of my students in Launch Ignition who owns a publishing company. And she said, hey, you're helping me with this whole business thing and launching. I can help you write a book. And I said, okay, well, how many years is it going to take? She said, I can get it done in 6 months. I can help you write this book in 6 months. And I said, I don't know about that, but she was right. She stayed on me. She put together a plan and she got me, producing things basically daily. We meet up once a week in order to go over it. And she was right. Within 6 months, I was able to write the book. Actually, you can kind of see it over my shoulder, Content Canon. It's a book that's really a culmination of everything that we do on the agency side in order to service our clients. Most business owners do not have a whole lot of time when it comes to social media. They don't want to spend every day creating videos and posts and scheduling it to go out and, commenting back and forth all day. So in our agency, we use this batching strategy, what we've coined Content Canon, where you basically take a full day to shoot content and edit it. So you can create a whole month's worth of content in one day of work to make sure that you are publishing, that you are being seen, that, you are being consistent in your content creation. And it's worked really well. All the students, all the people that have bought it, it's in Barnes and Noble, it's on Amazon and all major book retailers. But I really just wanted to share the knowledge for the average entrepreneur that, like you said, may not be really astute when it comes to social media, but still knows they need to do it and want to do it efficiently.
Gotcha. So as an agency, I guess, what's like the biggest challenge when it comes to working with, could be a startup or could be an established company? What are some of the biggest challenges or hurdles when it comes to working with them? Because a lot of them might feel like, we don't got to do that stuff. It doesn't matter. But why we need an online presence? What for? So what are some of the biggest challenges you run into?
I probably say just them being unorganized. They typically haven't set and thought about their marketing budget. Right? They haven't established one. They haven't earmarked funds. They're usually very unsophisticated in their systems. They're usually a little more open to different ideas, but it's usually the biggest thing is just getting them to part with money, right? And realizing that you need to invest in this is probably the most important thing outside of investing in the product itself, in your business. You know, if you're not marketing and you're not setting aside earmarked money, not like, you know, the money that you got left over once you do everything else, you know, whatever nickels and dimes you got in your pocket with a few pieces of lint, but, you know, actually saying, hey, I'm going to take this amount of money, I'm going to set it aside specifically for marketing. That's usually the biggest thing that we have to tackle. And then the second thing is getting them to adopt systems and use them, right? So we have some amazing systems, got great technology that we help get into companies, especially startups. But, you know, getting them to really buy in and use the things that we set up for them is usually a challenge.
Yeah. You know, so who's your ideal client in a perfect world?
Ideal client, a business that's within its first 5 years, making, you know, probably right at $1 million to $2 million a year is ideal. They're not so big that we have to sit down with the entire board and, you know, call a meeting of the investors, right, and file with the SEC. But, you know, big enough to where they've got some money, you know, they've done some marketing, but they're looking to optimize what they have done and trying to feed some of the systems that they've already built.
Gotcha. So you've been around for a while, you know. So do you think today is easier than it was compared to back in the day to get started online?
Oh, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. It's never been a better time to start a business. Yeah. There's never been a easier time to start a business. There's never been a easier time to find customers. There's never been this many people with as much disposable income. You know, media has never been cheaper, right? It used to, if you wanted to get in front of a large audience, you had to do TV, you had to do billboards, you had to do print, you had to do radio, you know, and the cost relative to that time was exorbitant. And now, you know, you can get a social media campaign running for $5 if you want, right? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is the best time to do it. But you know, typically whenever you make things easier, all you do is you just crowd the market. Yeah. You know, you find a whole lot of lazy people, because entrepreneurship is not for lazy people. Most people think that they're going to get into this thing and they're going to throw up a little website and make a couple posts and they're going to make $1 million and they're going to go take their laptop and check in every once in a while from a beach in Bali, right? Yeah. That's not the reality. And because it's easy, it's never been easier, because it's never been as accessible and as cheap to start and run a business. You got a whole lot of lazy entrepreneurs, a lot of people who are not really cut out for this life, but because you can, you know, put up a website in an hour, because you can file for your LLC online, and you can get a bank account online. You can basically build a whole business in a day. You got a whole bunch of people that truly are not built for this life, claiming that they're business owners.
Yeah, I tell people, man, I said, today is easier than ever. There's a lot of noise. You know, you gotta find a way to stand out. But I said, back in the day, man, I had a hard time getting a website made.
Mm-hmm. you know, need specialized knowledge.
Yeah, I said, man, you can get a website up the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like back in the day, man, I said, bro, it was difficult to even find somebody to build you a website if you couldn't do it.
Yep.
You know,
yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different landscape, you know, but because it's easy, it's also easy for you not to do things. You know, it used to take so much time and energy and money to get things going. Only people that are really serious about it did it, you know.
Yeah.
And now you have a lot of hobbyists that are pretending to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And one thing I don't see a whole lot like we used to when they used to sell you the magic bullet. Like, hey, you're gonna be in Mexico on the beach drinking a pina colada. We'll do all the work for you. I don't. A lot of those people, they're gone. They're not around as much as they used to be. You know, but I don't hear that pitch being spread around as much as it used to. So it must not be working as well as it used to anymore.
I mean, people have become hip to it. It's not, if it sounds too good to be true, then most likely it is. And, if you think that you're going to spend $19.99 and then you're going to become a millionaire, well, you deserve to be separated from your money. It's not that way. If that were the case, then everybody would do it. So yeah.
Yeah, so if people wanted to reach out to you online, where would they go to?
A couple places on Instagram, Arias Web, ARIASWEB, as in Bravo. All of my businesses, my coaching program, launchignition.ai, the software is available there. AriasWebsterBerry.com is where everything is. The book. You can get in contact with my agency, our CRM software, everything is there.
There you have it. Like, share this episode. All links will be found in the show notes. Until next time, we're out. Peace.